The Vornax Council ruled half the galaxy. Their ships were bigger than cities, and their laws were colder than space. They believed they were perfect. They believed they were the strongest species ever born. And they believed humans were nothing. For years, the Vornax watched Earth from far away. They saw humans fight wars, build weapons, and explore the stars with loud pride. To the Council, it looked like childish noise. A small species trying to act brave. So the Council planned a lesson. They did not want to invade Earth. That would be too easy. They wanted to break humans without firing a single shot. They wanted to prove to the galaxy that humans were weak, fragile, and unworthy. They chose a planet from the darkest files in their archives. Its name was Varkon 15. It was listed as a Class 15 Deathworld, the highest danger level ever recorded. Most worlds were Class 1 to Class 5. Even the strongest military worlds rarely reached Class 10. A Class 15 world was not a planet. It was a death sentence. Varkon 15 had crushing gravity that could bend metal over time. The air was half poison. The storms carried acid and burning dust. Giant predators hunted in silence and attacked from below the ground. At night, the temperature dropped so fast that rocks could crack like glass. The ground itself sometimes trembled, as if the planet hated being touched. No intelligent species had ever built a colony there. No soldier had ever survived more than one day. And now the Council would send humans there, as a test. The Vornax did not hide it. They turned it into a public event. They invited thousands of alien races to watch the live broadcast. Huge screens lit up in space stations and cities across the Empire. The title flashed in bold alien letters. The Human Trial, a species put to the final test. The Council spoke with calm cruelty. Humans call themselves fearless, the Council leader said. Let us see how long they last on Varkon 15. Let us see how quickly they beg for mercy. Let the galaxy learn the truth. Crowds laughed. Commentators joked. Many aliens placed bets. Some guessed the humans would die in 3 hours. Others were generous and said 5. Then the prison ships arrived. The humans were not soldiers chosen for a war. They were prisoners, exiled fighters, rejected explorers, and people the Council had quietly captured from distant colonies. The Vornax wanted the story to be simple: humans were thrown into hell, and humans died. The ships were old and dirty, filled with cold light. Chains clinked as doors opened. Humans were forced into landing pods like cargo. Their faces showed exhaustion, anger, and confusion. But not fear. As the pods fell through the planet's atmosphere, the broadcast showed everything. Flames wrapped around the pods. The sky outside burned orange and red. Winds shook the metal like angry hands. On the ground, Varkon 15 waited. The first pod crashed into black rock. The impact made a crater. Dust rose like smoke. Seconds later, another pod slammed down. Then another. Viewers leaned forward, expecting screams. But the sound that came was not screaming. It was silence. The doors hissed open. A human stepped out first. He was tall, covered in dirt, and wearing torn prison gear. He looked at the sky, then at the strange clouds, then at the ground. The wind pushed against him hard. He did not fall. Behind him, other humans stepped out. Some held their arms up to block the burning dust. One human woman coughed and spat dark blood into the rock. Another human looked at the crater and quickly pulled broken metal plates from the pod. The Vornax commentators laughed. "Look at them," one said. "They can't even breathe." The humans heard none of that. Their eyes moved fast. Their minds worked fast. They studied the storm pattern. They checked the ground. They tested the air with small improvised filters made from cloth. They began to speak to each other in short, sharp words. Shelter first. Wind is moving east. Grab metal. Stay close. Then something happened that made the whole galaxy go quiet. A warning siren on the Vornax 15 monitoring system began to scream. A red message flashed on alien screens. Predator movement detected. A massive creature rose from the ground far away, bigger than a tank, with dark armor and long limbs. Its mouth opened like a trap. It began to move toward the humans. The crowd expected panic. But the human leader did something else. He stared at the monster, then looked at the storm clouds, then looked at the broken pod. He spoke with a calm voice that shocked even his own people. "This place," he said slowly. Then he smiled. "This place feels familiar." The Vornax Council stopped laughing. Because for the first time, a terrible thought entered their minds. Maybe humans were not being punished. Maybe humans were being trained. The Vornax Council expected chaos within minutes. They expected humans to scatter, scream, and collapse under the crushing gravity. But the humans moved like they had done this before. Not on this planet, maybe not in this exact poison air, but in hardship. The alien broadcast drones hovered silently above them, recording every step. The storm grew worse. The sky turned darker, like a burning bruise. Wind screamed through the rocks, carrying sharp dust that cut skin. The gravity made every breath heavy, like invisible hands pressing down. One human fell to his knees. A Vornax commentator laughed. "There it is. Weak bones. Weak lungs." But two other humans grabbed the fallen man and pulled him up. They did not waste time. They did not panic. They dragged metal plates from the broken landing pods and slammed them together like walls. They used bent rods as supports. They covered holes with cloth and strips of rubber. In less than an hour, the humans had built a small shelter in the crater. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't perfect. But it blocked the wind. That was enough. Inside, the air was still bad. People coughed. Eyes watered. One woman's lips turned pale from poison. But the humans didn't lie down waiting for death. They worked. One human ripped open the pod's emergency kit and threw filters on the ground. Most were damaged. Another human used a piece of cloth, mixed it with ash and crushed rock, and made a rough filter mask. It looked stupid. It was not advanced science. But it worked. The viewers across the galaxy went silent. Many had seen strong alien soldiers die in hours on this planet. Yet these humans, prisoners, were building shelter and masks from trash. The Vornax Council leader narrowed his eyes. "They are delaying the inevitable," he said coldly. Then night arrived. And Vornax 15 showed its true face. The temperature dropped fast. The warm storm air vanished, replaced by freezing cold so sharp it hurt. The crater walls began to crack. Even metal pieces started to pop with tiny explosions as they shrank from cold. Many alien worlds had cold nights. But this was different. This cold was violent. It felt like the planet wanted to stop hearts. The humans pulled closer together. They used wires to spark broken batteries. They gathered small pieces of fuel gel from the pod and made a fire inside a metal container. The flame was weak, but it gave heat. It gave hope. Above them, the stars looked strange. Too bright. Too close. The sky was too clear, like the planet wanted to show how alone they were. Then the ground trembled. At first, it was gentle, like distant thunder. But soon it became stronger. Rocks vibrated. Dust fell from the crater walls. The broadcast drones zoomed in. The Vornax system screamed again. Predator swarm, multiple targets. Far beyond the crater, shadows moved across the rocks. Not one predator this time. Many. They came in silence. No roar. No warning. Just movement. The first creature appeared at the edge of the crater, staring down with glowing eyes. Its armor was black. Its limbs were long and thin, but strong enough to break stone. Its mouth opened slowly, showing rows of teeth designed to tear through bone. The alien audience held their breath. This was the moment they were waiting for. The moment humans would finally understand what fear was. The creature jumped. It landed inside the crater with a heavy thud, cracking rock. Humans screamed, only once. But it wasn't the scream of surrender. It was the scream of attack. A human on the left side threw a sharp metal rod like a spear. It hit the creature's shoulder but didn't kill it. The predator snapped its head toward the attacker. Another human slammed a metal plate into its face like a shield. The creature roared now. A terrible sound. It swung its claw and threw the human aside. Blood hit the ground. The alien audience cheered. But the humans did not break. The human leader, the same one who smiled before, shouted a single word. Now. And suddenly the ground beneath the predator exploded. A hidden trap. The humans had dug into the soft crater floor hours earlier. They placed jagged pod metal in a pit. They covered it with dust and broken cloth. When the predator landed, its weight triggered it. The creature fell into the pit, impaled by sharp metal. It screamed, loud enough to shake nerves. It tried to climb out. The humans didn't wait. 3 humans jumped forward with rods and smashed its joints. One drove a blade into its neck. The leader finished it with a final strike. The predator went still. Silence returned. Then another shadow appeared at the crater edge. Then another. But now, the predators did not rush forward. They watched. They learned. And above, the Vornax Council looked uncomfortable. This was wrong. Everything was wrong. The council leader whispered something no one expected. Humans are hunting it. The night was supposed to kill them. Instead, the first night became a warning. Not to humans. To the galaxy. Because the humans began to collect the dead predators' bones and armor plates like resources. Like materials. Like trophies. And as they worked, one human uncovered something half buried in rock near the crater wall. A smooth stone structure, too perfect to be natural. A doorway. Ancient. Hidden. And not made by the Vornax. The leader stared at it, eyes sharp with suspicion. Everyone, he said quietly, voice heavy with meaning. We are not the first ones sent here. Morning on Varkon 15 did not feel like a new day. It felt like the planet was simply taking a short breath before trying to kill them again. The storm had calmed, but the air still burned the lungs. The cold night had left frost on metal scraps. Around the crater, predator tracks covered the ground like dark scars. Yet the humans were still alive. That alone had already shocked the galaxy. Alien viewers expected to see bodies by sunrise. Instead, they watched humans standing, moving, working, like survivors who had already accepted pain as normal. The Vornax Council tried to hide its worry. They ordered the broadcast to continue, pretending this was still entertainment. But inside their grand chamber, many council members were no longer smiling. On the surface, the human leader stood near the ancient doorway found in the rock. The structure looked old, older than any Vornax colony map. Its surface was smooth, carved into the stone with perfect edges. Strange markings ran along it, lines and shapes that almost looked like writing. One human ran his hand across the markings. Not natural, he said. Another human looked up at the sky, at the distant sun burning through strange clouds. So someone built this, she whispered. The leader nodded slowly. And someone left it. For a moment, the humans forgot the predators. Even the storm felt quiet. The doorway called to them like a secret. But Vornax 15 did not give peace for long. Without warning, the ground shook again. Not like the predators this time. This was different, deeper. The planet's gravity pulse hit. Every human felt it instantly. Their bodies became heavier, like their bones were filling with stone. Some dropped to one knee. Teeth clenched. Muscles screamed. Above them, alien monitors showed the truth. The Council had increased the Deathworld difficulty remotely. The Vornax leader spoke to the galaxy, forcing confidence into his voice. Humans have survived one night, he announced. Now they will face what no species can endure. A gravity surge. Many alien viewers cheered again, thinking this would finally end the story. But then, humans adapted. They did not try to run from gravity. They accepted it. They adjusted their bodies. They tied ropes to each other so no one would collapse alone. They moved slower, yes, but they kept moving. It was not strength alone. It was stubbornness. One human laughed breathlessly, almost choking. Feels like training day, he said. The leader glanced at him. Shut up and keep moving. They returned to work. They pulled the predator's armor plates from the dead beast and laid them in rows. They studied how the plates bent. How they resisted the acid dust. How the claws didn't cut through them easily. Humans were not just fighters. Humans were builders. Within hours, they made crude armor. Not pretty. Not polished. But protective. They tied the plates to their bodies with wire, cloth, and straps. Then they built stronger shelter walls, thicker and angled to block wind. They set sharp metal spikes outside like teeth, turning the crater into a trap zone. The galaxy watched in disbelief. They were turning a death sentence into a base. A Vornax scientist spoke nervously behind the council leader. They are using the environment, he whispered. They are learning. The council leader's eyes narrowed. It does not matter, he said. The planet will break them. But Vornax 15 did not break them. Instead, it revealed something new. The humans finally opened the ancient doorway. It did not require code, or alien keys, or advanced tools. A simple push, and it moved with a heavy grinding sound, like stone waking from sleep. Inside was darkness. The leader grabbed a burning fuel stick and walked in first. Others followed, careful but eager. The tunnel beyond was smooth like metal, not stone. The walls had strange grooves. The air inside felt cleaner, still cold, but not poisonous. They reached a chamber. And what they found there made their faces change. It was technology. Old, buried deep, but real. Broken screens, dead power panels, strange machine frames, things no human had ever seen. Yet somehow it felt understandable. Like someone had built it with logic, not magic. One human engineer, a man with tired eyes and fast hands, touched a panel and wiped dust away. Not Vornax, he said. This is older. The leader stared at a symbol carved into the wall. It looked like a star surrounded by sharp lines. Like a warning. Then the chamber lights flickered once. A soft hum filled the room. Everyone froze. The machines were waking up. Outside, the broadcast drones zoomed in. Alien stations across the Empire erupted in noise. Many shouted that this was impossible. That Vornax 15 had never shown ruins like this. The Vornax Council stood up. For the first time, the council leader looked truly shaken. Because he understood what this meant. If humans gained technology here, the test was no longer controlled. On the surface, predators gathered again at a distance, watching the crater. Their eyes glowed in the morning haze. They did not attack yet. They waited. But humans now had something stronger than shelter. They had a hidden place. A hidden system. A chance to become more than survivors. The leader turned to his people, his voice low and serious. "This planet isn't just trying to kill us," he said. He looked at the ancient machines, now breathing softly like a sleeping beast. This planet was built for something. And deep inside the ruin, a weak signal pulsed again, like a heartbeat. Like a warning to the stars. And far above in orbit, a silent Vornax warship changed course. It was coming closer. The Vornax Council had wanted a clean story. Humans arrive. Humans suffer. Humans die. But now their story was turning into something else, something dangerous. Across the galaxy, the broadcast was no longer entertainment. It was becoming a nightmare. Alien crowds had stopped laughing. Even the commentators sounded nervous. Every hour the humans survived made the Vornax look weaker. And the ruins were the real problem. Inside their grand chamber, the Vornax Council leader stared at the live feed, his hands clenched behind his back. He could not accept it. He could not allow humans to gain anything, especially not from a planet the Vornax claimed to control. He spoke in a hard voice. "Enough. We end this now." The council voted quickly. No debate. No mercy. An order was sent to orbit. Deploy the hunters. Above Varkon 15, a silent Vornax warship slid through the thin atmosphere like a dark blade. It did not announce itself. It did not appear on public broadcast screens. This was not part of the test. This was murder. A troop of Vornax elite hunters prepared for landing. They were not regular soldiers. They were trained killers, built for Deathworld combat. Their armor was sleek, their weapons advanced, their helmets shaped like predatory skulls. Each hunter carried plasma blades and pulse rifles. Their boots could lock to rock. Their eyes were enhanced to see through dust storms. They had hunted down rebel worlds and crushed species that resisted the Empire. To them, humans were insects. The hunters landed far from the crater, behind a ridge of black stone. They moved in perfect formation, silent, efficient, confident. Their commander spoke calmly. "Targets are primitive. Capture one if possible. Kill the rest." They began their approach. Down on the surface, the humans did not know a warship was above them, but they felt something change. The air felt tense. The predators around them acted strange, less aggressive, more distant, as if even the beasts sensed new danger. The human leader stood at the crater edge, scanning the horizon. He had not slept. None of them had. Their armor made of predator plates was rough but strong. Their shelter was now reinforced. Their ruin entrance was hidden behind stacked metal and rock. Then a human scout returned, breathing hard. "Something's out there," he said. "Not beasts." The leader's face hardened. "How many?" "5. Maybe more. Moving like trained soldiers." The humans did not panic. They prepared. They had survived storms. They had fought monsters. And now the planet was sending something smarter. The leader gave quick orders. No lights. No noise. Everyone to positions. They had no fancy rifles. No alien tech weapons yet. But they had something that mattered more. They had creativity. They dug new pits. They covered them carefully. They placed sharpened metal under dust. They tied wires to fallen rock chunks. They lined up predator bones like spikes. They turned the crater into a death trap. Then they waited. The Vornax hunters arrived at sunset. The sky burned orange again, casting long shadows. Their commander raised a hand, signaling his team to spread out. His helmet scanned the area. "Human heat signatures detected," he said. Primitive camp. Approach. A hunter stepped closer, and stopped suddenly. His boot touched something soft. A quiet click. Then the ground opened beneath him. He fell into a hidden pit. Metal spikes pierced his armor. His scream ripped through the air. The other hunters froze. The commander shouted, "Ambush!" Humans rose from cover like ghosts. A human slammed a heavy metal plate into a hunter's head, knocking him back. Another human threw a sharpened rod into a hunter's neck joint. One hunter fired his pulse rifle wildly, but his shots hit rocks, missing targets hidden in dust and smoke. The hunters were powerful. But the humans were prepared. They did not fight with pride. They fought to win. A hunter tried to jump out of the crater using his gravity boots. A human triggered a wire. A rock chunk crashed down, crushing the hunter's leg. He fell, and 3 humans rushed him, pinning him down with predator armor shields. The commander realized something terrifying. "These are not desperate animals," he growled. "These are war planners." The fight grew fierce. Humans were injured. Blood stained rock. But the hunters began to fall, one by one, trapped, separated, overwhelmed. Then the human leader made a bold decision. "Take one alive," he shouted. Humans rushed the last wounded hunter, pulling his weapon away. They smashed his helmet visor but kept him breathing. The alien hunter stared at them, shocked and furious. "You are supposed to die," he hissed. The leader grabbed the hunter's communicator and ripped it from his chest armor. He held it up, studying the blinking lights. Then he spoke softly. "No," he said. "You're starting to understand." He turned the communicator on. The device crackled. Voices from orbit echoed through it, Vornax officers speaking fast, confused, angry. The human leader brought the communicator close to his mouth. His voice was calm, clear, and deadly. "We know you're up there," he said. Above, inside the warship, silence hit like ice. The Vornax officers stared at the comm channel. Their hands trembled. A human, speaking directly to them. From a planet meant to be a grave. The leader looked at the captured hunter, then back at the sky. "You sent us here to die," he said quietly. Then he smiled, the same quiet smile from the first landing. "But you made one mistake." He paused. "You brought us to the perfect place to become stronger." The Vornax Council watched the live feed and finally felt real fear. Because the test had ended. And the regret had begun. The message from the human leader traveled through the captured communicator like a knife through silence. Inside the Vornax warship above Varkon 15, officers froze. They stared at their screens as if they had seen a ghost. No one spoke for a long moment. The only sound was the low hum of their ship systems. A human voice, on their private channel. That was impossible. On the surface, the leader lowered the communicator slowly. The humans around him looked up at the sky, eyes burning with a mix of anger and pride. They were tired, bleeding, bruised, but they were standing. They were still standing. The Vornax Council leader tried to regain control. He turned to the crowd of alien races watching the broadcast and forced confidence onto his face. "This is irrelevant," he announced. "They are still trapped. The planet will finish the job." But even he did not believe his own words anymore. Because the humans were no longer acting like prisoners. They were acting like owners. The human leader dragged the captured hunter into the ruins. Inside, the ancient machines continued their quiet humming. The flickering lights grew stronger, as if the system was reacting to human presence. A human engineer studied the alien hunter's armor and weapons. He pulled apart a broken power cell. His fingers moved fast, like a man who had waited his whole life for this moment. "Give me an hour," the engineer said. "You have 30 minutes, the leader replied. The engineer nodded, almost smiling. Outside, the humans worked with deadly focus. They reinforced every trap. They moved supplies into the ruins. They covered the entrance with layered metal and rock, leaving only a narrow path they could control. Then the Vornax warship changed tactics. A deep sound rolled across the sky, an orbital shock signal. The air vibrated. Alien tech. A new message appeared on every broadcast screen across the Empire. Final phase, planetary purge. The galaxy gasped. The Vornax were going to wipe the surface clean. The warship charged its orbital weapons. Not full planet destruction, that would ruin their test planet, but enough to burn the surface and turn the human camp into ash. On the ground, a human scout shouted, "They're going to strike." The leader didn't flinch. He only said one word. "Good." The humans ran into the ruins. The Vornax fired. A beam of light came down like the finger of a god. It hit the crater, exploding rock and dust into the sky. Fire rolled across the ground. The shelter was destroyed in seconds. Predator bones shattered. Metal plates melted. Alien viewers cheered again, finally, victory. But then the cameras shifted. The ruins entrance had survived. The humans had already moved. The Vornax Council leader's eyes widened. His throat went dry. "Find them," he whispered. Inside the ruins, the humans felt the ground shake. Dust fell from the ceiling. But the ancient structure held strong, built for storms older than empires. The engineer finished his work. He held up a Vornax control device, rewired and modified. Its lights now glowed with a strange mix of human and alien signals. "I can connect to the old system," he said. "This place still has power. It's just sleeping." The leader stared at the ancient symbol on the wall, the star with sharp lines. "What is this place?" one human asked. The leader spoke carefully. "A training world," he said. "Not for us, but for something worse." Then the ruins answered. The lights brightened. A deep pulse spread through the walls like a heartbeat. Ancient screens came alive, showing storm maps and energy grids across the planet. A cold voice echoed through the chamber, mechanical, ancient, almost alive. "Trial world active." All humans went silent. Then another line. "New combatants detected." The system had recognized the Vornax as enemies. The leader looked up, eyes sharp. "Can you control it?" he asked the engineer. The engineer nodded slowly. "Not fully," he said. "But I can wake it." "Then wake it," the leader ordered. The engineer pressed the device against a panel. Outside, the planet changed. The clouds twisted like a giant turning in sleep. Winds rose. Lightning formed patterns across the sky, not random, controlled. The ground shook with purpose. Above in orbit, the Vornax warship suddenly beeped with warning alarms. System failure. Gravity anomaly detected. Storm front rising. The Vornax officers panicked. "The planet is reacting," one shouted. "How?" Then the storm hit orbit. Not the surface. Orbit. A massive electric storm formed a ring around the planet, slamming into ships like claws. The Vornax warship shook violently. Its shields flickered. Lightning crawled across its hull like living snakes. Alien viewers watched in horror. The humans had not escaped Varcon 15. They had awakened it. One Vornax escort ship lost control and spiraled downward. Fire trailed behind it like a burning comet. It crashed into the surface far away, shaking the horizon. The leader stepped out of the ruins entrance, staring at the burning wreck in the distance. He breathed the poison air like it was normal now. Humans moved behind him, watching the falling ship. Their faces were not afraid. They were hungry. The leader turned his head slightly. Get ready, he said. We're not trapped here with them. He looked up at the warship shaking in the storm clouds. They're trapped here with us. And across the galaxy, the Vornax Council finally understood the truth. They did not send humans to a Class 15 Deathworld to die. They sent humans to the perfect place to become unstoppable. And now, the galaxy would pay for it.